Smartphone breathalyzers, they're supposed to help prevent drunk driving, even doing things like allowing you to call an Uber directly from the app if you blow above a point zero zero. But do they actually make it more likely that people are going to drive drunk? So we seemingly have smartphone gadgets for almost everything, from like UV light sanitizers to disinfect the world around you, to smart belts that tell you about how much you weigh, but also loosen when you've eaten too much. Now, the smartphone breathalyzer is supposed to help with some of these kind of like public health issues, so help with drunk driving. But I have seen it used in some wildly not okay ways. So for example, people like to play the game of who can have the highest blood alcohol content according to this breathalyzer. And then if you have the lowest one, you need to take another shot. Now, friends, this is a great way for you to actually just win a Darwin Award. Because as a reminder, the therapeutic index of alcohol is about 10 to 1. So the therapeutic index is telling you the dose that produces effect, that's the 1 in this case. So if you feel tipsy with like half a shot, half a shot is the 1. 10 times that dose can actually cause you to overdose. So if half a shot makes you tipsy, then 5 shots can actually kill you. It is a very narrow therapeutic index. Like, it is about half the therapeutic index of blow and very similar to opioids. That should tell you how risky it is to drink a lot of alcohol. So the whole let's drink as much as we can to get as high of a thing on the breathalyzer as we can, that's gonna get someone killed, y'all. Now, if you use the breathalyzer as it's supposed to be used, so as a tool to tell you how impaired you are, there might be some benefits to it. But a recent study said that there might be one big flaw, and that it might actually increase the likelihood that someone drives while intoxicated. So here's what they did, and here's what they actually found. So they just brought in a whole bunch of people and got them drunk on vodka orange juices. So they mixed up a certain dose based on that person's weight and like their gender as well. And then they just proceeded to keep serving them alcohol and then check their blood alcohol content. And then half the groups were told what their blood alcohol content was, and half the groups were not. And what they found was that when people were told what their blood alcohol content was, they were more likely to feel comfortable driving. And so they asked them, do you feel like you are okay to drive right now? Would you be willing to drive right now? They were more likely to say that they were willing to drive if they knew what their blood alcohol content was, and if it was between that 0.04 and 0.08. And that blood alcohol content level is extremely important. So what we see is that people actually become impaired at driving as low as 0.04 to 0.05 BAC, whereas our legal limit is 0.08. So people are actually impaired below our legal limit. Now, a lot of people use this as reasoning behind lowering our limit from 0.08 to 0.05, and there is actually a lot of justification for that. But we don't have that now. We have it at 0.08. So what's happening is that these people are taking their blood alcohol content. So they're doing the breathalyzer and seeing that they are between 0.04 and 0.08. And they're like, oh, I am actually not as drunk as I thought I was. I am still below that legal limit, so I'm okay to drive. But in actuality, they're probably not okay to drive. Now, the people who were not told their blood alcohol content, they were more likely to think that they were impaired, and so they were less likely to drive. So actually telling somebody about what their blood alcohol content was made them more likely to drive impaired, if you're counting that 0.04 to 0.08 as being impaired, which according to science it is. We do see that level increases the risk of crash. This is why you see all those billboards about driving tipsy. That is still a thing that can increase the risk of accidents. Don't worry, all of the people in the study were sent home via an Uber. The scientists made sure that they got home without driving, and they all received a $100 gift card for the rough job of drinking vodka orange juice and then being told what their blood alcohol content was. We did learn some incredibly important information from this, suggesting that maybe we shouldn't tell people what their BAC is if it's between those two levels. Now, the authors of this study did say that smartphone breathalyzers are not all bad. They can be used for a variety of different things. So first, they can actually make you more accountable. And so they'll actually report your blood alcohol content to somebody else on demand. They'll actually ask you for your BAC at that moment. And it can help you figure out what your own level of intoxication is. So maybe you're really bad at knowing if you're super drunk or mildly drunk or moderately drunk. So this breathalyzer can actually help kind of navigate that for you and make you more attuned to your own internal states. That might help you not drive drunk in the future. There are also potential new ways of dealing with this. So for example, you could have some sort of like reward if somebody consistently blows a .00. Like if you have a DD and your DD blows a .00, which by the way is relatively rare, designated drivers drink a lot and it's a very big problem. But if your DD blows a .00, like maybe it'll just tell you to like Venmo them $10 or something. Like, good job you didn't drink. Which I'm saying that a little bit flippantly, but honestly, we know that things like contingency management, so giving people a reinforcer when they don't do something, we know that's really helpful in helping people quit drugs. There are also like suggestions that you can have cars in the future that'll basically shut down and prevent you from driving if you blow over a certain limit. Kind of like how those court-ordered breathalyzers for cars work, but like built into every system. And yeah, these apps might be good in just telling someone, hey, you are above the legal limit and you should not be driving. So there is potentially a benefit if somebody blows a .09 and says, hey, I could be pulled over, I'm not gonna drive. But like all of these have an incredibly varying accuracy. There's only really one that's pretty good out there. That's the backtrack. And then we also see that some of them will consistently blow either high or low. So like you could be blowing a .06, but technically your BAC is like a .1, and so you can still be pulled over for that. And the claim that like your smartphone breathalyzer told you you're fine does not really hold up well in court. There might be some benefits to them, but there also might be some unintended consequences. They're not really that kind of like beacon of hope like they promise they can be.